Hello, 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 wellness warriors. So excited to be here today. This is our weekly Wellness Wednesday where we huddle up and we come together to partner in conversation that helps to amplify our wellness. And today we are discussing and we're doing something new. So, hey, Mark, I see you. For those of you that are joining on the live video, know that we also have everyone joining on Clubhouse. So, very excited for what it is that we're going to get into. Mark, I am curious before we get going today, and hey, Dee, come on in. We're going to invite some other friends. I'm pinging away here on Clubhouse. We're also going to be sharing this as a live recording because we're talking about the full moon fast, which is something that we do monthly. Of course, there are monthly full moons. Sometimes we get lucky and we get two. And again, each moon has its own intention. If that is something, and if you see me looking down on the video, you'll know that I am pinging. That's inviting other friends on the app to come join us. We'd love to have you. So if you need a link, feel free to email us and we will get one over to you. Hello at Wellness Warrior Collective. And Mark, we're going to be coming to you. And we know that every moon, if that's something you subscribe to, has a different energy, has a different purpose. We aren't going to get into the purpose of this upcoming moon, although it is quite beautiful. And we're doing some really powerful things around Portal Day, which is 111, because I do believe that higher power, for me, I call that God. I do believe God aligns all things perfectly and that there is messaging in everything. I think it's so beautifully interconnected, and that we get to. And hey, Nancy, welcome in. I believe I see Mark say that he will hop back in. I believe he's probably at the gym. Hey, Brenda, too. And we often hear that, that somehow honoring the moons or the moon cycles or any of these natural experiences that happen within our earth ether are less than religious. And I'm a believer that you can be both a strong believer in your God, mine again being Christ. You can be a strong believer and witness the miraculous way in which He has aligned beautiful numbers and our solar system and even the foods that we choose. And so we come here every Wednesday to discuss and amplify the wellness warrior within you. Hey, sweet Brenda. And we're doing something a little different because I have spent over 2 years joining in here at noon on Wednesdays, and we're going to make it available for recording too. So welcome to those of you that have joined us on the YouTube channel. Grateful to see you. And if you want to ever participate in this as a live experience, know that we use the Clubhouse app and we would love to see you. And today we're jumping in to the full moon fast. And sweet Brenda, unsure if you're in a space to connect. And I know last month, the full moon fast was something that you had great interest in, and the alignment of time wasn't the most supportive for you. And so I am curious, are you jumping in? Are you going to full moon fast with us this month? How does that stand, and how's it looking for you if you're in a space to contribute?
Hi, how are you doing? Actually, right now, I will not, and it's because I am doing a fast right now, currently with my church. So we're doing a 21-day fast, so that's what I'm doing now, starving.
I love it. I love it. You are fasting this month. It's a powerful thing. Again, my belief is that the more that you dance with fasting, the more that you can apply it for different intentions, different purposes. We do ours and align it monthly with the full moon fast. And I'm also going to say publicly that women, based on where we are in our cycle, depends on if truly fasting is what we would be best served doing. Another version of that is that often people will cold plunge even at a time on their cycle where it's less than ideal based on our progesterone and estrogen. So the most idealistic approach to wellness is individual. And I also know that it is true that so often we'll show up in the accountability of others more than we show up for ourselves independently. And so that's why we do what we do. We honor something that is uniform to us all, which is this moon cycle that we live within. And today on this episode of Wellness Wednesday, we're talking about why we full moon fast. So T-Money, if you feel inclined to join us up on stage, please do. Also, if you guys have an open hand there on the Clubhouse app, if you are joining us live, please ping in other warriors if you're open to inviting those in that would be excited to contribute or would like to learn maybe about something even brand new. And we're excited because here, when we talk about the full moon fast, it is something that we do because of the power of accountability, because of the fact that we get to do it as a community. We have many that are joking. We have many that are joining us for our Cleanse Club, and that's a seasonal approach to, it's an Ayurvedic underbelly or foundation, if you will, where we're going to approach different systems of the body based on the seasons that we're walking through. That's really what, for this upcoming season, the winter season of 2025, we'll be focusing on adrenals and immune function and our kidneys. And we'll see that move throughout the season. So some may be joining us simply for this portion. Some may be with us for the year. And likely, if you are part of those programs, you have joined us here. So welcome. And on Wednesdays, we talk about our weekly wellness roundtable, if you will. And this one is really centered on something that many will be using to prepare for the Cleanse Club, and that is full moon fasting. So the full moon of this month, January 2025, the full moon is going to be on the 13th. And so we do a practice where we do it in a 3-day series. And that gives us up to 3 days of fasting. And it really is a fast your way experience. And what I mean by that is that you are invited to fast, whether it be maybe the first time you're adding in more juices or adding in more smoothies. Maybe you're for the first time going to consume vegetable broth exclusively. Or maybe you have stepped all the way up and you're an experienced faster and you're going to water fast for these next 3 days. Whatever the intention is, the reason that we align it really truly is, yes, for the accountability, and also because we know that when we fast regularly, science shows and proves that it is proven true that we have, greater benefits to our body in many different ways. And so it can help do everything from improve digestion to increase your energy, reduce inflammation. We also know that autophagy is something where we get profound cellular repair and cellular health. So when you're able to get the damaged cells out and repair new, hey, Brandon, nice to see you during this Wellness Wednesday too. Come on up if you'd like to. If you are someone who's looking for some of these benefits, to feel better, to have better digestion, I'm in a healing modality. I did my body a big disservice by having breast implants in, and I'm still experiencing the side effects of that. And so I still, I have days where I have high inflammation. I'm very responsive to my food and my environment. It can leave me when I am exposed to something that doesn't agree with my body. It can leave me fatigued and tired. I tend to drag a bit more. I don't have as much energy. I come from a family with a long line of rheumatoid arthritis. And so I will notice that joints in my body, again, I approach my life differently. And so I will notice that areas of my body are, particular joints and definitely places in which I've had injury. When I am out of balance and in a space where a real fast would benefit me is when I start to notice these things happening. So maybe one of those are the reasons why you're considering joining us, whether it's this month or any subsequent month. And hey, Desi, welcome in too. Because the power is the first time we go through it. It's like, getting our sea legs. We start to get an idea of how it works, and we may, find ourselves committing to a 24-hour or a 48-hour fast. Or maybe we're doing 72 hours and we're still consuming some food. So we won't reach full autophagy. However, we're going to reduce our calories, which will provide an opportunity for our our bodies to work more intensely on the digesting, on the healing, on the repairing. So as we're putting less in, we're able to allow for our body's strength to focus maybe on some other things. And that's really the reason I love to do it, and the reason we do it around. And Brandon, I would love to know if you have ever engaged in any form of fasting or in fasting, and zero expectation that you're in a space to join us. And if you do have an experience, I'd love to know what your experience has been. And hey, Amin, grateful to see you too. And so only if you're in a space, Brandon, have you had an experience of fasting that you have walked through?
Hey, Lizea and Brenda. I don't want to put your name down low. But yeah, I do intermittent fasting on a regular basis. But just last week, I had my first colonoscopy. And I had to basically fast for 36 hours. They said you could have a liquid diet, like soups and broths, but like I had a bad experience with hot chocolate as a child. So like I really don't eat hot soups and I don't drink hot liquids because I had some severe burning, third-degree burns on my side from some hot chocolate. And I haven't drank anything hot since I was like 8 years old. So I could only drink water and clear beverages. So I just opted for water for 36 hours. But I do think that fasting not only helps your body feed on some of the excess that a lot of people struggle with, but it also gives your neurons a chance to clear themselves up. I work in the food industry, and like I'm privy to like the behind the scenes, like truth and information, if you want to use that as a term, of what's actually in the things that we eat. Because we have to get the full docket of information, not just what's on the packaging, but like all the ingredients, the country of origin, and all that stuff. So it helps me to stay away from certain things because like I know what the truth is in a lot of foods. But I do think fasting helps with mental clarity. I do think it helps as a natural detox. Not a huge fan of taking like detoxes. I think that you can naturally get your body to rebalance itself, not by subtracting things, but by putting the things in it that it needs to, because the human body is probably one of the most fascinating things that's ever been created, because if you do the right things, you can correct years of bad behavior. And like I'm a walking example of that. When I lost 250 pounds at 30 and I went into a cardiologist, I didn't have any congenitive blocking. I didn't have any damage to my heart. My cardiovascular system was in very good shape. And I was surprised because, I ate terribly for 30 years. I drank, sugary drinks and alcohol and didn't get proper sleep and didn't know water consumption. So I do think that on this journey I've been on for the last 20 years, the fasting piece of it has been integral for my mind, but also for my body repair.
Yeah, absolutely. And wow, what a testimony, being able to reduce your body by 250 pounds, and also with your knowledge of what it is that you get, your eyes on, and the ability to know the truth about the food that we're eating and what we often consume. So thank you, Brandon. And also, well wishes on the colonoscopy. I also will say that, I would love to help you rewrite that story about hot beverages, because I think giving yourself the freedom to be able to sip some of those nourishing teas, make a powerful and, beneficial vegetable broth, would also be great ways to amplify your body. And I know these traumas and how they can live in the emotional body along with the physical body. So I'm going to pray for some adjusting and reframing and retraining of your brain in that arena too. And I invite you, because I do wonder how it landed for you with that 36-hour fast. And intermittent fasting is an amazing thing. It is how I have really transformed and shifted the shape and the size of my body. And that wasn't my expectation. I was really moving into it from a perspective of healing. I learned about the power of intermittent fasting. And for those that have gut disruption like me, I've had many different diagnoses spoke over me. I'm not going to get into all of those right now. However, because we are recording, Brandon, so this will also be available on the YouTube channel. And in addition to that, in addition to the reasons for my gut health, what ended up happening as a benefit, if you will, is that the size of my body and weight that I had never been able to get rid of, really, I started to be able to shed that easily. And intermittent fasting is still the way I live, and it was a foundational for that for me. And full fasting, working up to periods of time in which we are able to refrain from consuming, there's so much taught within it. There's so much that we learn about our physical body, around our mindset, around our mental health, the way we're able to connect with our spiritual guide, for me, God, the way that there's such clarity. And fasting has been used in religions aplenty for such a long time because of that belief that when we remove our body's attention on other things, we're able to be conduits and to be in a space of full receiving. And that is one of the reasons why monthly, because it also, as someone who formerly had an eating disorder, what I want to ensure we aren't imparting, and I caution our community to think of a full moon fast as an opportunity to love on the body. And it's so important that we have the same relationship with nourishment. And so I do often find people who do fast after fast after fast, which, by the way, is disordered eating. And so it's very important that we're doing it with a real clear intention as to why we're including it into our lives, why we're choosing the period of time and the frequency. And so for me, I believe that a merely up to 72-hour fast monthly is more than healthy when it comes to repetition. It isn't something that is going to become addictive. And we approach it in a way that it is flexible. And so maybe the first time someone joins in, they, again, merely add in. And I want to retract that, because it isn't merely to minimize. It's saying this is how easy it is to approach, that you could choose, if you right now aren't consuming a daily juice, you could choose to flood your body with a juice daily, and that would be a powerful way to amplify your health. And you could also, instead of a juice, you could do a smoothie or a smoothie bowl. And the recipes for smoothie bowls and juices are included in our full moon fast. You also could choose to do it broth-based or water-based. I consider those step-ups. After doing a fast for 3 days with juices is easy. And again, this isn't medical advice. This isn't to guide anybody. If you have any medical concerns, this is to state a medical claim clearly. Go and, seek the advisement from the trusted provider of your choice. This is what I'm going to share by having done this so many times with myself and within our community, is that when we are able to do this repetitively, each time we stair step, and we tend to have even more success. And success being that we're able to establish a longer period of reducing or eliminating consumption of food, to being able to step into where it's liquids exclusively. So smoothies being more capable, and smoothie bowls of having us have that feeling of a full belly, to stepping into juices and waters, which are they are more cleansing, and they're going to allow for our bodies to do less digesting. And so it's a flexible approach, because it really is a fast your way approach. We do a pre and post day. Those are to get us revved up and prepared for the 3-day commitment wherever we fall in there. And the pre-day is the day in which many think like, ooh, right before I'm going to fast, I'm going to gorge, which can actually make your hunger pains much more intense. And so our pre-day is where we actually move from eating solid food to consuming things that are easier to digest. So that would be soups, stews, stoops, and vegetable broth. Again, we're looking for things that are broth-based. We're removing animal products, we're removing added sugars, we're removing dairy, we're removing processed food. That's our prep day. It's starting to rev the engine, putting really good oil in after your, if you're getting your oil changed. Like they drain all the old oil and then they put the plug or plunger back in, whatever it would be called, and then they start to pour the good stuff on top. So the first thing is we're going to, purge the old oil by removing those known aggressors or those known inflammatory agents. Dairy, definitely we reduce sugar. We're going to start to drink more water. We're going to reduce all animal products. And when I say reduce, most optimized is to remove. And then our post day is going to really mirror that nearly identically. So we're going to come off of fasting by nourishing our body with highly nutritious foods, often in that same format too. And so our 3-day has 3 days intention. The first day is our reset day. This is where we're really preparing our body for detoxification. This is the first day where we're going to start to garner insight into how our body's feeling. We may even have some emotions that come up. Trapped emotions often can come through here too. We will start to recognize our story around eating and food. Day 2 is our release day. This is the day of the actual full moon. And because the full moon represents a time of release, this is the day in which we are releasing. If you are like me, you are praying to allow for this period of fasting to remove from your body anything that doesn't serve you. This is great to also release trapped emotions because emotions are part of our whole body health. We often think only physical. It is our emotional well-being as well. And so it's important that we really take a peek, especially as we've been able to step away from food, which is often what we do to distract. I know, a former food addict, and I would say I still walk with a propensity to want to numb with that drug of choice. And if you're like me, I see you, you see me. So when we step away from that, it gives us really the energy, the spiritual connection to start to see and evaluate these emotional energies that are stuck within our body. We'll start to feel or see the stories. We may feel things more robustly. And it's also our invitation to, accept that this is what we are seeing and make an intentional release. Giving it back, giving it to God, whatever that may be. And our 3rd day is all about rejuvenation. So this is where we're refreshing. We're post full moon. We're putting positive things into our body. We're bringing things alive. We're stepping forward anew. And this is the vision as we, also celebrate how far we've come with or without food, whether it, whatever, again, your fasting your way may be. And again, we do this around the full moon fast. So for either one of you, and hey, Tanya, welcome in, welcome up as well if you'd like to. I'd love to know for either one of you if you'd like to contribute when you consider the full moon in terms of, or even seasons. However, we're going to stick to full moon because we're talking about the full moon fast. Do you ever equate the full moon into how you approach something or what it is that you're going to do?
Go ahead, Brenda.
I'm about to say I haven't, but I do know that the full moon always affects my emotions. So I didn't fast with you guys this last time, but emotionally, oh my God, I was just all over the place. So Brandon, go ahead and take it. Tell me your experience.
I typically don't follow the moon cycles. I'm a creature of habit. So I agree with you, Zaya, what you're saying as far as like the prep work and the fasting and some of the things that you guys do for the 72-hour fast. it reminds me of a lot of the prep work for the colonoscopy, where you transition off of solid food and you go into a primary liquid diet to, like you said, purge the system. And I think the thing that's the most alarming or most telling for me when I went through that process was not eating anything solid for 24 hours and still having like a solid stool. Because typically you have waste product after you eat, but if you're not eating anything and you're still having that process, it shows you how much that there is in our systems. And you've asked about, fasting and other pieces. I have a cousin that he does a week water only fast. Part of it is religious, but part of it is he just wanted to see how far he could stretch his body. And he got to, I think, 9 days of nothing but water. And me and him had a pretty in-depth conversation about it. And he was shocked after 4 days of not eating anything solid that he was still passing a solid stool. And he was like, it was just eye-opening for him in that process because he was only drinking water. He wasn't even drinking like juice or any kind of coffee or anything. It was just strictly water. And so me and him got into a pretty in-depth conversation. And my activity level, I don't know that I could do strictly water because I do live a pretty active lifestyle. But for him, the thing that he enjoys the most about fasting is his skin clears up, his hair grows, his vision clears up, his mental clarity changes. So I've committed to and I've gotten to, the longest I've gotten on water was about 48 hours with the lifestyle that I live. And he's challenged me this year. We're going to try to do a 72-hour water fast together and just kind of FaceTime each other and check in on each other to try to get to 72 hours. But I average about 40,000 steps a day. So like my body needs a certain level of nutrition because I do live such an active life. And I'm a personal trainer a freelance personal trainer. So a lot of the time I'm moving around and I'm doing weights and I'm hypoglycemic. So I have to be really careful with my blood sugar bottoming out on me. So that's why I haven't really gotten into the longer fast because of my blood sugar levels.
Yeah, Brandon, again, so much wisdom in that. And I say, you guys come full moon fast with us one of these. So when you guys choose your 3 days, choose them alongside a full moon and come full moon fast with us. Would love to have some powerful warriors that are leading the water challenge portion because, everyone does it differently. So it is a choose your way, and there's always powerful impact because when people see you within the community able to do it, they think me too. So I really hope you guys will join us. You can go to the link at the very top and it will tell you all of the dates for 2025 where we will be full moon fasting. So we'd love to have you. And the beautiful thing is that you only pay one time $19.99, and then every subsequent month is only $9.99. And that gives our guide. It provides support, so texting support. It gives access to the community. Would absolutely love to have you there. And I want to share the significance because you are accurate that fasting for extended period of time, does require us to consider how we're living because you aren't going to jump into your longest water fast and also set yourself up for your highest amount of activity or your most productive week. And that's why, again, we choose something that I believe is very doable by most people. It may not be very easy the very first time you do it. And after you complete it month after month after month, you start to be able to stretch the window or consider something new. And it really does train the body. So the reason why around the full moon is so important is that the full moon has a gravitational pull. And we know this because it affects all of the tides all around the globe, changes everything. And we are 60-ish% water. And so without a doubt, we're more water than anything. And if it's changing the whole gigantic oceans and lakes and all these bodies of water, I think it would be quite funny to consider that it isn't doing something within our body. And this, increased activity helps to flush out toxins and facilitates detoxification. So because the water in our body is moving, is shifting, again, think of the tides of the ocean, it, really suggests it's a really great time for us to step into a form of fasting or cleansing. Again, if you are still consuming food, it may be different foods, or you're doing something that requires less digestive activity. And you talked about, how long people will fast on a liquid and still have solid stool. And if you're consuming smoothie bowls or smoothies, that may continue to happen too. However, when you get to the point where you're fasting for 3 days and you're noticing that at the end of 3 days, you're still having a solid stool, it does give you an awareness of what lives within you, what has an opportunity to be moved through you. And the other reason, a couple other reasons is that in addition to the gravitational pull, you're also talking about a spike in our serotonin levels. That's what the studies show. And that makes it a really prime time to release emotions, making it easier to purge of the emotional toxins too. We also know that as mammals, we have parasites on board all of the time, and our pets do too, our four-legged friends. And parasites are more active during the full moon cycle because of the increase in serotonin levels. And so this is why it makes them more susceptible to being able to be expelled. And it's why it's an ideal time for fasting or detoxification protocols of any sort. And again, we already touched on the power of the emotional and spiritual significance of releasing our attention on food and how it gives us an opportunity to connect more deeply with self and with spiritual, our spiritual providers, God for me. And so, Mark, I see that you have made it back in with us and would love to also have your voice in here. We're going to be talking about, for those that especially are joining us for this upcoming January full moon fast of 2025. We want everyone to feel prepared that is able to listen to this as well. And I want to address, what are some areas to pay attention to for first-time participants, things that help you to approach it more, with more ease and more of an invitation in energy, as opposed to something you have to do, or you got to, or you feel forced to, or you give yourself the metrics of passing or failing. And so, Mark, I would love to include you in when it comes to fasting and what your experience has been. And if you have ever aligned it with the full moon and all that provides us too.
Okie dokie. How appropriate, as I'm just pulling out of the gym. I felt like I was just doing a fast in that sauna. So here's where I stand on this. For once, I'm going to be pretty quick and quiet, because even as a nutritionist and trainer for over 15 years, I don't have a ton of experience with fasting. What I have done that has worked for me and clients, even way back when, we do a lot of 24 to 36 hour fasts, because a lot of us are just finding times, and you nailed it, and I think is one of the most important things I heard so far, is you have to align it with your schedule. If you have a big business presentation or a, business trip or a road trip or some kind of special event or workout, you're probably not going to want to schedule your fasting time around that, because you can get, let's just call it in the lighter terms, a little spacey. I have aligned them with the full moon, and as a matter of fact, we'll probably be doing a 1 day on the 25th, I believe it is, and our friend is doing a full moon meditation at the beach to coincide with it. So I will be fasting on the 25th, 26th, probably something of that nature. My little piece of advice to give to people, before you go into that fast, make sure you're super hydrated and make sure your heavy physical labor is kind of out of the way and to the side if possible. If you're going to do longer fasts, I have friends that do 3-day, 5-day, 7-day. I even have a buddy who does 10-day fasts, and all he drinks is water and lemon for 10 days. Yes, you'll remove a lot of parasites. Yes, monitor what's going on, but that's all I could really weigh in at this point, because I don't profess to know everything, and I always love to learn more, because this is an eternal evolving learning experience even after 15 years in the area. So good luck to everyone who's participating. You are in good hands with Lindsaya and the Wellness Warrior Collective. There are people here that have done way more fasting than I have done, even though I'm in that space for that many years. So hope that helps, and good luck to everyone, and let's get great bodies and great skin and good mind and great muscles and all that fun stuff and energy levels that usually come out of a fast. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you for weighing in. And I actually, I'll share, because as someone who came up through the fitness realm, so as a coach and trainer and athlete myself, the reality is that typically you're focusing on what you do consume, which is a really great thing. And in these last, I'll say 5 to 7 years, I believe intermittent fasting has become more integrated into the consumption plan. So now we talk about when we're quote unquote fasting and when we're consuming, which is a very important conversation to have. And it's very different than what we're doing, because a committed fasting period is for, and again, if you are doing this seeking weight loss, will and do people lose weight? The testimonies I have seen, witnessed, and experienced myself are aplenty. This isn't a diet plan, and we're not recommending that you regularly go without eating long extended periods of time. That's called anorexia, and I want to address that right on the head. And when we are fasting intentionally, there are things that it provides for the body that an eating plan doesn't address. And so it's important that we understand that they're non-competing. They walk together in holistic living. And it's really important that we address and give ourselves access to both. It's much like saying that lifting weights is going to, of course, build muscle and give strength. And we also know that we want to maintain flexibility, which is going to come through stretching. And so when we think about our eating plan, our macros, what it is we are consuming, our eating windows, that's really around the consumptive nature of being a human being. When we're fasting, this is an opportunity of releasing, of observing, of evaluating, of connecting, and it is this gift that we can give ourselves. And there are, and I would say again, get comfortable, work up to periods of fasting, and this is why it's a Fast Your Way, where every month you can stretch your window of what feels comfortable for you and address where you are in real time in space. Because again, if you have a really big trip, maybe fasting doesn't support you. Maybe it does. Maybe it actually simplifies where you're going and what you're going to do. So always evaluate where you are in life, be honest with yourself, and consider that if we're able to leverage something that impacts the seas, and we're able to leverage what is happening in the waters all around the world, and we know that we have this heightened time to also address that within our body, that it can be a really great way to start to dance with how long we're able to fast. What does fasting produce in our body? What kind of wisdom comes through when we take away the distraction of eating? And it is a spiritual practice as much as it is a wellness practice, which is why it's a wellness warrior way. It's part of our wellness warrior way, where we consider fasting monthly and to do that if it suits us around the divine alignment of the full moon fast. So I would love, Mark, for you to join us one day, for you to consider joining us. And again, it is a fast your way. So you may choose that first time to do it, that it's a 24 committed fast or 48-hour fast. You may also choose that you want to do it where you add in a smoothie, or you add in a smoothie bowl, or you add in vegetable broth. Again, I'm mostly plant-based. However, back in the day, I used to make bone broth all of the time. So for my meat eaters, if you are going to do a animal broth, it is so important purity in the period of fasting. And I could get into that more deeply. I'm not going to spend time here today. However, I've helped many in our community ensure that if you are, because this is a fast your way, if you are fasting broth-based and over vegetable broth, you choose an animal-based product. There are very important considerations to ensure that you're supporting yourself holistically. And it is a way to step into fasting. So Mark, I invite you to join us one day. I'd love to have you. And I believe that if you were to hold hand in hand with the Wellness Warrior Collective and consider doing this monthly, I believe that the very things I've heard you speak out about, the change in your body, in your spirituality, in your mentality, all of these improvements that you're so intentional with, I believe that you would see them amplified, and you would also be inspiration and accountability for other warriors too. So thank you, sweet friend, for weighing in. And I love the wisdom that always lives and resides within you. And I want to pause at this point. Again, we're here every Wednesday. We're doing something new. So if you want to join us live in the conversation, join us on Clubhouse. We'd love to have you. We launch at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single Wednesday. We have for over 2.5 years, maybe closer to 3 years at this point. And every week is a different topic that amplifies the wellness warrior within you. It's a bit more expanded than what we do on the podcast. And there's involvement from many parties. So we really do call you in to contribute, to bring your wisdom, to bring your questions, and to ensure that we walk away in an amplified experience of knowing that we are in the driver's seat when it comes to our own wellness. And so I want to pause, as we always do at this point in the room, to see if there are any questions or contributions that have come up from any of you that have joined us live this week. Beautiful. Well, I hope to see all of you. Again, we begin, so prep day will be on Portal Day this month. So that's this coming Saturday, 1/11. Yeah, there's real significance in that as well. If it serves you, I invite you to go look at what those numbers in numerology, or what that day as 2025, what its intention is. Again, I believe all by God's design, zero accidents. And so when we take a look at the alignment, it can truly empower us to remain even more committed. And then we will have our 3 days of fasting on that Sunday. So beginning on the 12th, Monday the 13th, and Tuesday the 14th will be the days in which we fast in some form. And I'll also proclaim here that I am planning on doing vegetable broth fast for a portion. So I'm going to speak to my husband. We like to do it together. I anticipate that I'll do a 24 or 36-hour fast with water, and then likely do vegetable broths following that. So that will be my intention this month. And there's reasons why I'm stepping in this way. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the DMs on Instagram, and I'd love to share with you more. Otherwise, I hope you guys join us. The link is always on the website, and please invite some fellow warriors that would be excited to amplify alongside of us. And with that, thank you for joining for another Wellness Wednesday. We will see you back next week. Toodles. Goodbye. See you, warriors. Come on off mic if you'd like to say goodbye, and we will end the room.
Have a great day.
Goodbye. Enjoy your day.